Greetings, this is Ty Brown with Athletic Director U. We're here at the 2025 NACTA Convention. I'm joined by Yogi Roth. Yogi is a broadcaster for 20-some years now, right?
I know.
Spent time.
Too fast.
Right? With the Pac-10 networks, right?
Started off at Fox and ESPN, then went to Pac-12 networks for 12 years, and then positioned last year, went to Big Ten Network and Fox. So it's been a fun career, living the dream I had when I was literally like calling my own game, shooting hoops in Pennsylvania, man. So Ty, honored to be here with you.
I'm
a
happy
guy
to be
I know
here
on
with
many
you.
levels.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. Got your own podcast, Y Option podcast. Do some things with the Elite 11, is what it's called?
Yeah. Think of American Idol for high school quarterbacks.
Yeah.
It's been around 27 years. Next week is our 27th year. It's awesome. Go all around America, look at every quarterback in the top 20, come to LA or wherever the finals are that year, and away you go.
Which is super interesting. I'm gonna give you four statements, all right? I don't know if they resonate or not. The first one is be impeccable with your word.
Of course. Is the book here? You know?
The second one is don't take things personally. Don't make assumptions.
Yep.
And always do your best.
I love that. Yeah, we're talking about the book, right?
Four agreements. Yes, sir. And I bring that up because one of the things that you're known for in terms of the podcast you do and some of the things you talk about when you do lectures is just the psychology of performance, right? Whether that be in sport, whether that be in life or whatever it is. Talk to me a little bit about that. Of course, we know each other from F45 Culver City.
Let's go. Shout out to Culver City.
Of course, I'm a coach. I was just a member there. Actually, when we worked out the first time, I was just a member.
Yep.
Now I'm a coach there, right? F45 Culver. And what I say to people all the time is, hey, be impeccable with your words. People will be like, I can't lift that, or I can't do that. And I say, look, let's just say it's a challenge, but you're willing to try. Afterwards, if it doesn't happen, maybe we can work towards it, or we'll use a lower weight. Talk to me a little bit about the psychology of performance and doing your best and actually thinking and saying that you can do it so you believe it.
Yeah, well, it's a really fun question. And you're a really good athlete, because that's what I noticed the first time we worked out together at 6 a.m. I was like, oh, I'm working out with an athlete today. This is fun.
It's hilarious.
And since you've become a coach, it's been great. Like, you're such an additive to the entire community.
Appreciate
my wife
that.
and I,
yes.
For sure. But so many other people because of your background in sport and performance as well. And I think that's where I start to answer your question. Both my parents were therapists. So I understood mental skills without being told what a mental skill was as a kid. So I would lay in bed at night and I would visualize the game. I didn't know visualization was vogue or was the thing, or imagery is what it would be coined now by a psychologist. But I was around that my entire sporting life. And when I started coaching, I came out to USC, I got to work under Pete Carroll. And that's really when, there was kindling on that fire. And it was like, okay, what are mental skills? How can we get somebody to compete in the absence of fear? How can we get them to peak performance and believe that confidence plus trust equals focus? And when you do that, you can maximize as well as tap into your potential. Like, I'm in my early 20s, man, Ty, when that happens. And from that moment on, I was just obsessed with it. And now as a broadcaster, every culture I drop into, or even the Elite 11, my job is to really be the host of that entire event. My job is to push, prod, ask questions, drop a little gem here and there to get people to think and reflect on, how am I talking to myself? Right? What is my body language like? And as a broadcaster, when I have our crew together, I'm asking cameras, follow their body language. Because he told me yesterday in the meeting, this is how he navigates adversity. The acronym I love in broadcasting is PACE, plays after critical errors. So after every interception, there's a camera on the quarterback. After every drop, there's a camera on the wide. Like, how are you going to navigate that? So yeah, that has been a foundational part of my life. Same part of my parenting life with our two sons. So it's a fun question that I love talking about. I could talk about for days.
How do you include it in your personal life? And of course, I know your wife, met your children. How do you include that in how you live every day?
Well, if you asked our sons, like, what's the only rule we have in our house, they would recite, don't cheat, don't lie, live with integrity, right? And that's a combination of my entire sporting life. And one day it just came out of me when our oldest was like 2. I was like, here's a rule in the house. But it's been a mantra for us. We talk every day about doing what you said. My wife will drop him off at school and talk about being impeccable with his word. It doesn't always work. It doesn't always work with me either. Like, we all are flawed individuals.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's a huge part of our life, because integrity is that. If I say I'm going to be here, I'm going to be here. If I'm not, own up to it and say why I'm not. I mean, I think a big part of life in this generation is facing things that might be challenging. Because as we know, the guys that play at Michigan State where you played or played at Pitt where I played, they could dip the minute it gets hard. We didn't even have that option. If you did, you had to sit out a year, you drop down. Like there was no incentive. Now there's millions of dollars of incentive.
Yeah.
So I think it's more paramount now than ever for coaches to front load that trait, for strength and conditioning staffs to carry on that message, and for players to embody it and live it. Because you can't run from it. You can't run from the adversity. It's going to hit you whether it's at one school or the next. If you're lucky in the NFL, it's definitely going to hit you in the workforce. Definitely going to hit you in marriage or kids and relationships. So I hope that our kids and anybody I'm around would feel like that. Yeah, that is a first principle.
Yeah.
In anything that I try to be a part of.
Yeah, it's interesting. I tell you what, when I see you working out with your wife, me and one of the other trainers are like, man, every time they work out, it's like they're on a date.
Yeah.
Right, talking to each other. And I'm not married, so I don't know, but it seems like you guys have fun when you're doing it. And I know both of you travel a lot, so it's like, okay, this is our time together. Let's maximize our time together. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, well, it is. We call it that.
Oh, really?
Like it's our day date.
Yeah.
And we go and we talk smack, but we flirt, right? We talk about the day, who's picking up the kids, but it's really a fun way to be playful. And we go at noon every day. Like some days I want to work out at 6 a.m. Get it, like that's how we're trained. That's our mindset.
Get up and let's
go.
Our
body, like get up and move. But it's like, no, this is no matter what you got going on. That's what I love. I'm such a ambassador for F45 of like, you can go get one in like you were in college, go get a workout in, sweat, get after it with a great community, and you're in and out. Like we work out from 12 to 12:45. I'm on calls at 1, and so is she. But it's a super connected 45 minutes. We're getting fit. We're talking trash. It sets up the next couple of days or the weekend. Like it's a beautiful atmosphere.
I love to see it.
I appreciate that you recognize that, because I tell that to my married friends a lot of work out with your partner, not to like coach them or one up them. Like nobody wants to be coached as an adult by their peer necessarily, like especially someone that like you're in love with. But it's super fun. Like it's a date.
I love to see it. I love to see it. Yeah, I have lived some of the principles you're talking about. I told this story on Athletic Director year before, and I talk about it in public sometimes, is when I went to Michigan State as a freshman, I tried out for the football team and didn't make it, right? And my father was at home. He was dying of cancer, and I was going to go home, go to a junior college, try to get scholarships, do the things. Mom was like, no, you need to talk to your father. So what he told me was, you're not there to play football. You're there to bring home a piece of paper, right? And you're going to enroll in class and you'll be back there next fall, right? So what that did for me was understand the difference in purpose versus goals. Telling myself, there's a reason why I'm here and football isn't it, right? And so that helped me delineate and set a path of telling myself, why am I here? Why do I exist? What am I doing?
Yeah,
right?
That's so good, man.
And that was the thing, right? So then I went back and tried out again, and you got on the team.
And away you go.
Right.
It's fun. I'm really thankful. A lot of coaches will bring me around in the off season. So I was just in Tuscaloosa at Alabama, and I'm doing a version of media training, brand building. But regardless of the locker room I'm in, I would say the same line, which is, let's pause and stop taking time to build your logo, and let's start to leverage the one that you're wearing. Tom Brady's the greatest football player of all time. He's still not bigger than Michigan. And I think it's important to delineate that, because I think for head coaches, athletic departments, you're front-loading opportunities in this environment we're in right now. We're going to help build your brand. And I always say, name the best brands in the world. I've done this at hundreds of locker rooms, and they all say the same thing. Nike, Beats, Apple, blah, 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 blah. Not one time, Ty, has anybody ever said a human being's name.
Oh, wow.
And I say to them, because you're not a brand. You're more than that. You're a heartbeat. You're a story. That was my talk here in Active. Like, you're a story. What is the story? Can we get back in touch with why we fell in love with play versus athletes now are transactions. We are in the most transactional environment in the history of the world.
Me, yeah.
So whether you're an administrator being like, why am I here? I didn't sign up for this. True. You signed up for sport and they're still playing sport. So can you tap back into that? And I love what your dad said to you. And a version of that is with these athletes of, yes, your brand will get built. That's the price of entry.
Yeah.
But are you leveraging, especially in football, are you leveraging this community? Because they don't know who you are. You wear a helmet and you're seen as a transaction because you're a dollar figure now. But you have a story, you have a heartbeat. You've had diverse moments in your life. Like, how are you sharing that? And if you're sharing it with you just sitting on the hood of a car, a carousel on Instagram, like, we don't know squat. And I'm trying to challenge this generation to get to know their voice, and then begin to gain mastery around it. But you got to get to know it. And in recruiting now, unlike how you grew up, in recruiting now, it is you're posturing all the time. You're told who you are. I wrote a book about it called 5-Star QB, about the history of recruiting and how so many athletes are told who they are. And then afterwards, it's horrific. It's such a challenge for them to break away from somebody else's definition.
Yep.
It's just the facts. Like, so
what
how
it
do you
is.
navigate it? You get to know who you are and what your voice is.
100%. I got a couple questions here and we'll wrap. 2 different subjects, so I hope I don't forget, right?
Okay.
But they kind of tie. The first one is, it's something I have coined, and I hope that it picks up, but I want to say that I coined it. It's athlete identity syndrome.
Okay.
And it's tied to what you're talking about. It's when people stop competing and when sport goes away, they don't know who they are because they haven't taken the time to figure out who they are and define who they are, so that when they separate from sport, they don't have an identity crisis. And I'm sure you've seen it.
Oh, yeah. Lived it.
I've seen it, right? I don't know if I lived it as much being a walk-on, realizing that everybody else is better, so this ain't long term, so this is going to stop. I got to a point where it was just fun for me to be on the scout team, right? But a lot of the guys I play with, a lot of people I see suffer through this athlete identity syndrome. And for me, I think it's going to get even worse. As before, the schools are just transacting on the names of the kids. Now the kids are also transacting on their own names, right? Which the recent trends in the last few years have given them an opportunity to do that. But that athlete identity syndrome, specifically for football and basketball players, is probably going to be a lot worse when you realize you got to go in the real world and work for $65,000 as opposed to the $400,000 you were getting while you were in school, right? So now there's money involved too. And so, well, legally, right, there's money involved too. So I wonder about your thoughts on those things. The transition you just mentioned about people getting to know who they are, so that it's easier when they do move away from sport. But the part about them transacting on themselves, the school's doing it, and so much money involved, and how that athlete identity syndrome can be a lot worse for our athletes.
Well, you're on it. No surprise there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gone on forever. Every athlete has to navigate, whether it's high school to college, and they join a fraternity and trying to just find some sense of community, and then post-college to the professional life, 1,000%. Now, thankfully, the one positive of social media is that you can find social groups like that, former athletes living in LA or living in Atlanta or living in wherever community you're in.
Yep.
But it is a massive deal. And I urge athletes, I take them through a process. You kind of liken it to the artist's way. So the artist's way would be 12 steps of 12 weeks of writing, free writing, whatever might come to mind, talking about your family, your purpose, whatever it is. My thing is I have athletes write a letter to somebody. They choose whoever it is. Dear so-and-so, hi, my name is Ty. I grew up in, and they write this letter with a series of prompts that reminds them of the thing I had to overcome that I didn't know I could, was when I was most proud of myself, was the game in which I showed up for my teammates was. And the point is that, and it might sound a little ridiculous to people that haven't lived in sport, because you're like, how do they just forget how they navigated adversity, success, failure, triumph? But it's true for all the athletes, because we are just told, you're a DB at Michigan State, you're a wideout at Pitt, and then you're given the gear to represent you that you walk around study hall with, and away it goes. Those things are still happening now. And now it's 10X because you got X amount of followers and X amount of dollars. And now you're right. Go get a sales job, and it's what you kill is what you eat. And it's a base of 40K.
Yeah, right.
What are you talking about? And I think there's a real challenge here. So what are a couple answers? Few things, and these aren't all right or the thing to do, but a thing to do. Coaches need to front load mental skills. So when you walk into the Michigan State, the first thing that their staff doesn't tell you is how much you're going to make and where you're going to get drafted in the NFL. They're going to say, right down the hall, we got 12 doors that are wide open with licensed professionals. You're going to tap into the mental skills. So you've got a way to navigate this world. Number two, everything you do from here on moving forward will not go exactly as you imagined. That's the only guarantee, and that's it. Can you front load the tools to navigate it, and can you remind them that it ain't going to go as they planned or as they envisioned, and most importantly, probably how their community envisions it. And then you get into drop down level number two. What is your community? Who are you around? Do you have, and I say this in my talks all the time, do you have clarity around the thing that matters most? Are you confident in it? And then do you have the discipline to navigate it? So if the clarity for you as a freshman is to make the most money, then transfer 3 times, commit 4 times, that will get you the following and the money. If the clarity is, I want to play at the next level, Okay, let's go attack it with a disciplined approach. If the clarity is I want to leverage football for an incredible next 40 years of my life, 50 years of my life, 60 years of my life, okay, then let's attack with a strategy. And those are the 3 tiers that I think really can allow someone to manifest the vision they have if they can get clear about what the vision is.
Yeah, I think that's excellent. Are there coaches? So I'm going to ask this two-sided. The second side, keep it anonymous.
Okay.
First side, name the coaches. Are there coaches who emphasize that well in the industry? And are there coaches you feel like they either have challenges or will have challenges because they don't focus on the right things?
It's a cool question. I think the number one thing that has evaporated from society in general is giving people the benefit of the doubt.
Okay.
We're quick to judge. We're quick to have an opinion. Offensive coordinator is terrible. Defensive coordinator should be a head coach. This kid can't play. This guy can't play. You know, politics aside, I mean, imagine that world, right? Like that is just evaporated. So in the spirit of competing to give people the benefit of the doubt, I would say some of the best I've ever seen that are currently coaching, Dan Lanning. It ain't close. When you ask them, anyone in the facility, hey, what matters most around here? Coach, player, administrator, they'd say the same things. They reference their DNA traits.
Yeah.
Connection, growth, toughness, and sacrifice.
The culture is built. Everybody understands it, and they can speak the language.
Growth, toughness, and connection, the biggest one. Connecting. Like
Community,
we're connecting now, right? That is the number one thing. Kalen DeBoer, phenomenal at it. I think there's more people that are amazing at it than we think. Because now coaches, I think they've gone through the frustration with the portal of like, man, I barely get to know my team.
Yeah.
Let's just coach them up to, no. Now I got to get to know my team. I've got to build bonds with my team. So I look at the community building going on at Arizona State with Kenny Dillingham. When I was just at Ohio State calling the spring game for Columbus and Ryan Day, you could argue the most talented roster in football easily last year, competing to not only have a competitive cauldron, but also one where guys get to know one another. So I think more people do it really well than the opposite. I think it's a challenge for first-time head coaches because there's so much coming at you. And that's why I go to the same thing I reference with athletes. Who are you surrounding yourself with? What other staff members who have been there, done that? What other veteran voices are you leaning on? What consultants are you hiring to help you navigate, whether it's the media, whether it's rev share, whether it's player acquisition, transfers? I mean, we just saw today, Scott Pioli, I think, just went to Iowa. Yeah. He's a former GM of the Patriots.
Sounds crazy, but yeah.
If Kirk Ferentz is saying, I need help with Scott Pioli, like, imagine being your first or second year as a head coach. So that's why I credit Dan Lanning so much, because I met Dan when he was a GA at Arizona State. He was a former GA at Pitt. Like everywhere he's tracked, he's pulled things. And he's also admitted, hey, my flaws, his flaws as he's navigated that. Same thing all of us in life. You know, I'm going to call games for almost 20 years now. I'll screw up a game this year. Okay, how do we grow from it? And I think that's a huge part of this thing. But I think more people are pouring into like the things that matter most than ever before. Because they know they're kind of at, I don't know what the phrase is, but like they have no control over the portal. I mean, it's 2 windows. It sounds ridiculous. There's no contracts. I can sign you for 6 months and have you be a starter. Like it's chaos what they have to navigate. Yeah. So what are the controllables? And I think most coaches are trying to front load that.
Right, control the controllables, 100%. All right, last question here. So I worked for almost 15 years at American Football Coaches Association.
Nice.
And what I realized in working there is that coaches listen to coaches. It's almost like a parent to say something to the kids, but then when somebody outside of the house says it to the kids, they understand it, right? So coaches will listen to coaches. We can all say the same thing, but unless they hear from a coach, it makes sense. I say that to say the audience for this are college athletics administrators, right? You can interpret what coaches need, what coaches do. Can you tell us what administrators need to do to help the coaches be successful at what's happening now in college football?
That's a cool question. Yeah. It was asked in my keynote earlier today where they asked a question about alignment. And if we're going to be real, some of the programs listening to this show or watching it now have tremendous alignment. I'd say Oregon, Washington, a lot of the schools that I'm around in the Big Ten have that. Some schools don't have the amount of people, right? Everybody's doing 4, 5, 6, 7 jobs. It's hard to have alignment. So my answer to that question is to go to the top and ask from president on down, I'm talking school president on down, what is the one thing that matters most? What are the 3 things that matter most around here? And do we own that? And if we own that, if you say graduation, if you say development, if you say get to the pros, like whatever. I don't care.
Whatever
it is,
lean into it.
own it. So then as you're an administrator, you're like, all right, I'm echoing that. Same thing with a head coach. Because every head coach is running their own Fortune 500 company.
100%.
To a large degree, especially in the revenue-generating sports. Coach, what matters most to you? So then whether it's the buses, the food, the off-the-field activities, the donor events, the people we allow into campus, the community groups we engage with, like they all can mirror that. And the ones that don't fail. I'll say this as a broadcaster. For 19 years now, I've gone into every production meeting and I ask the same question, which is, coach, head coach, what matters most around here? To the OCDC, what matters most around here? These are separate meetings. To the players, hey, what gets talked about a lot around here? And if they are not in the same vein of one another,
You can already see what's going on. Yeah.
Ty, I have predicted at a higher than 95% rate.
Oh, wow.
When a game is tight late, or there's a moment that needs to be made on a critical third or fourth down, a hard count, whatever it might be, you can predict who's going to survive and who's going to struggle, who's going to thrive and who's going to struggle. And it's really evident. And that's a fun question to ask, because then you find out, like, the GA should know what matters most because the head coach has said it so much.
Yep.
As should the sport administrator. And they need to compete to break those walls down early. We are on the same team. Even though I work for the university and you also work for the university, I don't necessarily just work for you. Like, we are fighting and competing on behalf of a bigger mission. That's why when you look at the Ducks, like, and I say them because they're so prominent, of Phil Knight, Rob Mullins, Dan Lanning, and so on and so forth throughout the athletic department. It's a brilliant example. And take away the resources. It's how they communicate.
Yeah, 100%.
Period. Let alone, and then the resources, of course, give them a chance to do everything special. But that is it, man. I think that single question, what matters most, solves a lot of things in my personal life, professional life. I think with teams, you name it. I work out, what matters most, man? I want to make it to tomorrow. All right, don't kill yourself. You got an injury, bro. Whatever it is.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's my answer.
Yogi, this has been an excellent conversation. I appreciate you joining us here on Athletic Director U. Definitely see you again in the gym in the near future.
I know. Or when are you coming back? Coming back this week?
Yeah, I'll be back later this week.
Okay, all right. I'll find you later this week. So cool to do this with you after watching you do it last year and seeing all the dualities in your life, man. I appreciate you, and it's been really cool getting to know you.
Yes, sir. That was Yogi Roth. Yogi is a broadcaster, author, podcaster, public speaker, number of different things, high-level workout general at F45 Culver City. And, of course, I'm Ty Brown with Athletic Director U. And keep in mind, the role of a leader is to create and maintain an environment that people want to be a part of. And as always, be better tomorrow than you are today. This episode of the One Question Leadership Podcast is produced by Spades Media Group, solving problems using creative leadership.